our retired troopers, Lieutenant Schaefer, and I were talking one day because I serve as a New Jersey State Police chaplain. And he said, well, can we do anything with your church? I'm like, it would be great if you could come to Atlantic City and engage the community while we're distributing clothing and food and things of that nature. And that's where it started.
That was, to this day, in my almost 28 years of law enforcement, maybe one of the most powerful days. We had about a dozen horses down there, not aside from the clothing and the food mission. When we went into the apartment complexes, and from 4 to 84, those horses are like magnets for people, and they came out and we created an opportunity for them to see us in a different light, not around yellow crime scene tape, not in a negative way, and to have kids in the saddle with you engaging in conversation, and to see mothers and fathers lit up. Those horses really were the spark to kicking off just a phenomenal partnership, and it's been nothing but spectacular.
The interesting part is this: if you've ever shopped in a department store on a busy day, there's always clothing on the ground. We don't have to pick stuff up off the ground because the people feel so blessed by the fact that somebody cared enough to put it on a hanger that if something falls to the ground, they will pick it up and make sure it gets reused.
I think for me, I know me personally, I was adopted. I grew up poor, so I was one of those people who my parents needed food. I didn't have a jacket in the winter. I grew up in upstate New York, so I was that kid that didn't have a jacket. And I think one of my first events, I was out there with Pastor Lou, and there was a family of 3 children that came by, and one of the boys, the mom said, you wouldn't happen to have a jacket, boy's jacket, would you? And I know Pastor Lou went out of his way to try to find one, and we looked at every rack, and I know I went home that night and just told my wife we're gonna go buy a boy's jacket. But I saw myself there because I was that boy that didn't have a jacket. I had one pair of jeans that I would wear continuously and had holes in them before holes were commonplace now. But that's impactful to me to be there. I knew I was that kid. So when I'm out there and I see that, I want to get my children and my family and the troopers involved and know that listen, you don't know anybody's situation. And it could be different things that brought them to where they're there or why they're there. But bringing them there and having the dignity to be able to go through and, as Pastor Lou likes to say, give them the dignity to go off the shopping racks. So that's where it's impacted me the most.
We like to refer to as humanizing the badge. So those people in our communities don't think of us as that trooper in the rearview mirror, but more as brothers and sisters willing to spend a Saturday clothing them, feeding them. It's a phenomenal way to engage with our community throughout New Jersey.
It's all volunteer based, and even the troopers that come out, there are so many troopers that come out on their time, and even the troopers that are in administrative positions, they've got piles of work on their desk, but they get so much out of joining with us and really celebrating this partnership, because it's not a preachy partnership. It's a let's get it done. Let's see what the needs are and let's make it happen. When we have troopers that perhaps are having some difficulty in their own personal lives, they come out there and they feel so empowered and so positive when they leave, like, look at what we did today. And it's an incredible opportunity for us to work together.
This project's helped impact me in a way where I just understand the community's needs, how we can help support them. It makes you extremely compassionate, and there's a lot of things that I didn't understand prior. I did grow up in Atlantic City. My parents were born and raised in Atlantic City, and just realizing how many veterans struggle and how they come back and they just don't have the supports that they need. That's really been eye-opening for me personally. So, and just watching children struggle and not have what they need. Their parents want to give them everything, and they just, they're out there trying to give them as best as they can.
There's something contagious about volunteerism, and those that give really do receive more, whether that's missions here, whether the missions we've both been on around the country and world. There is something certainly contagious about it. And I think that's what draws people in, that once you feel that joy in serving others, that it's something that you want to continue to do. It's almost addicting.
Yes.
Troopers should volunteer, and they do volunteer. We really don't have an issue with them wanting to do this. It gives them that sense of fulfillment of why we all first signed up for this job. Sometimes when you're out on the road and you're just responding to calls, you don't get to see the good side of everything. You don't get to interact with community in that different light. So it helps you relate to the people that you're responding to and understand each other and work with each other. So it's been great for us, whether it's just working with the children or working with the people in the streets that need the assistance. Everybody wants to be involved across the board, which, you know, it's amazing. It really is. So, I mean, I go out there and I do this every day, but the road troopers, you know, they want to be part of this as well.
So we just try to push that it's not just, as I said, humanize the badge. You want these troopers to go out and really be part of the community, build that relationship back up. That's kind of gotten lost over the years.
And to have an opportunity to create situations where it's so uplifting and positive, it almost is the antidote for some of the negativity that we're exposed to. And we all know physically it's important that we're in shape, but we also need to be mentally resilient. And I think our partnership highlights that and the benefits of that to our troopers. That I think everybody that we serve and that serve us, quite frankly, walk away from there with maybe a different perception about their own community, and certainly I hope about the state police, that this French blue uniform should instill a sense of calm and respect and grace, and not one of fear or chaos. And that's my hope too, as we see that interaction unfold throughout every time we've done it.
And that's about the talents. We've all been given certain talents, and we can either invest them, because we all don't even know what our talents are sometimes. Or we take a trooper who's never been in a volunteer situation that has been organized by another agency, and all of a sudden they're able to go out there and change their heart. They're utilizing the talents that God has given them, that God has provided them. They're not burying them in the ground, and they will only multiply. And when we see that multiplication, it enhances all of us. And I think that's where volunteerism comes in. I have a saying, volunteers are priceless, because we can't do anything without volunteers. In any agency, in any facet of society, we need volunteers, not to supplement, but to enhance. And that's where I think we need to go.
The most commonplace thing for people to do is they give or help after a natural disaster, a flood, a hurricane or tornado, or maybe a house fire. The crisis is year-long. People are hungry, people don't have the clothing that they need during the cold months. We should try to encourage everyone to do it year-round.
I think that people should help volunteer in their communities because it helps strengthen the communities. It makes a stronger community together.